We are going off the rails. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our show dedicated to all things Disney tangents. I am your host and conductor, Craig, taking you off the rails today. And of course, I'm joined alongside by a bunch of good people like Jackie.
Hi.
Denny.
Hey there.
And Rhino.
Hello.
Hello to everyone. And before we get started, I just need to remind you that this is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. If you like us and our content, you want to support us, please consider booking your next vacation through Dreams Unlimited Travel. Remember, it costs you no extra money, and you get that world-class level of Dreams Unlimited Travel agent support. So go get a free, no-obligation quote today at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Also, please give us a thumbs up on this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments, questions, and topic suggestions in the comment section below. And if you're listening to this instead of watching, please make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening to Off the Rails, and then leave us those good 5-star ratings and reviews if it's through Apple Podcasts. And before we do get started fully into the topic this week, I want to say once again, thank you so much for the positive. I don't think I said it for a first time, but I'll say it right now. Thank you for the kind reception about the intro that we debuted last week. The biggest response I think we got back with it, besides loving it, is why can't Rhino still blow the whistle every single time? And it's because it freaks his dogs out. And that's why we wanted to come up with the style of putting it right in the intro, so that way he didn't have to worry about driving his dogs crazy every single time it happened.
Well, and I guess we said we'll do it at the end, right? We'll do it at
we can and at the end. And I think the last time you weren't recording where in your house where you have
it with me today.
Did you buy 4 extra whistles too?
I know I didn't. They were $5 at the outlets, but I unfortunately bought this for $13.
Yeah. Well, you should have taken some of our Diz stickers and then put them on all of the different train whistles at the outlets, and made sure that everyone had a good branding on their.
Then the next meet we do, we can have people just blow the whistle in the theme park, so we'll know where they are. Disney is going to hate that, but hey, this is their merchandise that they sold in the park, so that's on their
fault.
I hate it too. If anyone ever whistles at me in a park with a train whistle, I will turn around
and
run.
And run. With your arms up over your head.
Yeah, it's if you say my name politely, I will always take a second to say hi and get to know you a little bit better. But if you blow a train whistle at me, I'm out. That's not happening.
That's your limit.
Yeah, that's
hey, sweet cheeks.
Okay, today's episode is a bit of a strange one. It's a bit, I don't know the right word for it. It's going to be a really open-ended concept, but what we're talking about today is, what is the big draw of Walt Disney World? Why is it this place that everyone is just drawn to? And is it the individual aspects of it, like attraction, shopping, dining? Is it the feelings with it? What is the overall though? What's the big draw? Why is everyone showing up? And I don't know. I don't know why we're doing this topic, but it dawned on me the other day as I was sitting editing a video. I'm like, what is the reason why everyone is so attracted to this place? And I don't know if we have an answer, but we're going to talk about it at the very least. So does anyone, I'm going to open up the floor here. Does anyone have anything to throw out? What's the big draw?
Well, so for me, as soon as I read what our topic was going to be today, I transport myself right back to Seattle, and I think about the fact that we used to go on vacation to Disneyland. That was our big trip, Disneyland always. And then it brings me to that one year where we were all sitting around at my parents' house and we were like, what do you think about going to Disney World? Because there's so much more there. There's so many resorts. There's 4 entire theme parks instead of just 2. Plus, there's 2 water parks. And it's really hot there. Where at that many years ago, California was hot, but it wasn't hot like Florida is hot. It was hot for us because we weren't used to humidity. We weren't used to super hot weather in Washington state. It just doesn't get like that there. So the whole like idea of doing that, that's how it came about for us. But then as years went on, we weren't planning Disneyland trips. We were continuing to repeat going to Walt Disney World because things would change from our last trip. There would be new things, like maybe a new attraction or a new hotel would open that we wanted to go to, or a new restaurant. And there was just so much more. And that was why we kept going back. That was why we kept continuing to be drawn back to Walt Disney World for us. That's just the thing that popped into my head. I'm sure there's more, but yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely one aspect of it for sure. But Denny, Rhino, any thoughts right now?
Yeah, so I can speak for, we speak from our personal experiences, right? So for us, for me, for my family, it was getting to, this is so esoteric, but I mean, it is a passing on or a chance to have an experience that you had as a kid, to have those same kind of experiences with your own kids. For me, it was Walt Disney World is a fun place. As a kid, I came to Disney World and had a blast. Why wouldn't I want to have that with my own kid and then eventual kids? So, and it was just, it was the shared experience that we as a family had every time we were down here. Literally, we are asked nothing but to enjoy ourselves while here. And we get to, I think we've talked about it before as far as the escapism that Walt Disney World provides. You leave today, right? We're leaving and we're stepping into a story. We're stepping into this place that is crafted only for me to have a good time, only for my family, for whoever I'm with at the time, to have a good time, to enjoy and to be a kid again. And so for me, that was, sitting in my office in Maryland, having, the Disney park bench videos playing in the background, just so I could hear the audio from the parks while I'm working through all the stuff I've got going on at work. So it's that escape. And when I wasn't down here with my family, I was longing to be here with my family until it reached the point where we could actually move here just for Disney World, just to be close to it, because there was this experience here that was like none other. At the time, we hadn't been to Disneyland. So this was it. DCL was it. It was just wherever you were there with Mickey and his friends, and you were there just to have a good time.
Is the escapism aspect of it even still possible, though? Because that's one of the things that I was thinking about with it, is not necessarily my answer, because I'll get to it. But with my first instinct, I'm like, well, people are going to say they love the bubble. They love the escapism aspect of it, is that you do truly leave everything behind and you go into a world that is not interrupted from the outside. And I bought into that for a while, and now I'm just not quite sure anymore, just because of the state of the world that we live in. The fact that social media dictates so many of our lives. And I'm sure there's someone on this that's watching or listening saying, well, no, when we get in line as a family, we don't touch our cell phones and we talk to each other. We take in the surroundings. And if you are that person out there, I applaud you, but I think you're like 1 in 100. I don't think you are the norm. People do talk to each other, and that's an overblown number, but go with me on this one. But it's people just because we have computers that are connected to the internet walking around everywhere we go. It's no longer at the point where you can truly escape. I mean, if breaking news happens from anywhere around the world, chances are you're going to still find out about it now in Walt Disney World. When I was growing up, that wasn't the case at all. I mean, even with channels in the hotels, it felt like there wasn't really a lot beyond the ones that Disney wanted you to see. It wasn't a world where it's then, okay, you have, and you'd have 4 news stations, but that was kind of it. And now it's you have basic cable when you go and stay at a Disney hotel. So you can basically just live the world that you had at home as soon as you get on property. And I mean, even look at the fact that a pandemic came in and is still having repercussions on the Disney experience. I just don't know if I feel like it is an escape. I think it is for some people, but I think the Disney bubble has burst in a way, if it ever truly did exist. And I feel like maybe it didn't, but we just kind of acted like it did just because, there wasn't cheap motels positioned right beside it, like out in Disneyland.
Right. I think we're going to have to work a little to find it again, I think.
I mean, for me, when this wasn't my job and my entire, livelihood, I wasn't as plugged into all the things. And I was plugged into the Diz, and I would listen to the Diz Unplugged and all the other shows on my commutes. And but I wasn't so engrossed and enveloped in all the things. And so when we flew down here, I saw my bags, and then I saw, in Maryland, and then I saw them in my hotel room at Disney, and it was fantastic. And for me, we were the family who took the Magical Express and enjoyed the fact that, no, we don't have to go anywhere else. And we can have Must Do Disney on in our resort room as much as we want to. And it was very much a Disney bubble. Now, yeah, I understand what you're saying with the pandemic creeping in and with access, 24/7, anything that you want access to. And I think that's up to the family, to the traveling parties who come here to go, okay, what is our vacation going to look like? How plugged in am I going to be? What's my priority in this moment? Is it to unplug and enjoy it with the people I'm with or on my solo trip? Or is it to, still keep up to date with things at home?
Yeah. And that's, I am all for, I want people to unplug and escape when they're here. If you're spending that much money, why do you want to just be engrossed in what's happening everywhere but here? So I am all for it. Like my family, when we would come down, like I said, we very similar to you, Denny, it was Must Do Disney that was on the channel nonstop because that was that. Occasionally, it's on a rainy day, a pool day, then you start flipping around more and seeing what else is out there. And but for the most part, we always tried to go from that aspect. But I'm getting concerned that people don't do that anymore. And maybe it's not my right to be concerned about it. It's people's lives and money. They can vacation however they want. But if you throw away the escapism part of it, that is what is a big draw for some people for Disney World. If you just throw that out the window, then what's the contributing factor of going to Walt Disney World? Is it convenience? Is it feeling like you have everything in one for one price, even though we know that's not true. I don't know. Rhino, thoughts?
Yeah, I don't agree with you guys at all about the outside world not coming in, but I have had some pretty tragic things happen while standing inside of a Disney park, so there is no escaping the outside world. I was standing at Disneyland when, the shooting at Pulse happened, and I think about where I was with other things, and unfortunately the world does get you wherever you go, and I don't have that privilege to be able to feign that ignorance in my life, and I'm not judging anybody who can, and I think that is a beautiful thing if you have that ability to do that in your life. Why wouldn't you be able to? Why wouldn't you do it? I'm not saying any of you do either. I don't mean to speak. I don't mean for this to come out negatively. I'm just saying I don't see it in that sense because I have unfortunately had that burst for me a long time ago, and it sucks. But I was thinking, I definitely agree with what you guys were saying about how how you get enveloped when you come here, right? Like, and it does maybe give you that, like, so even if you can't, there is a fly up in this house right now that is circling me. I'm sorry, but I was thinking about how you guys have said how you don't keep the news channels on and that thing, and things like that, and I think it's not necessarily that the world outside can't get in. I think that maybe it gives you this moment where you feel refreshed to take the world back on. You know what I mean? Like, it gives you a little bit of that glimmer of like hope. Like it re-energizes that. Like I think, Denny, you were saying about how it becomes almost like a generational passage of emotion because you came with your family and you have these wonderful memories. And I feel that same way too, where like I came because my great grandmother used to live here, and I've had some amazing experiences, and now, like you said before, now we live this as our jobs too. So it's like a different perspective, and I remember you telling me a story once about when you had your parents there before the pandemic and things, and it's very touching to me to hear that stuff and see that we all kind of go through those moments with this thing that we love, and I think about it. It's like a torch. It's like the Olympic torch. You know how that gets passed, and then you light this eternal flame. And I do think there is a sense that Disney World does have that. And it's like it's its own city, its own. It is this. They say, is it Disneyland is the most magical place and Disney World is the happiest place, or is it the other way around?
Okay.
Yeah.
Other way.
Okay. So this is the happiest place.
No,
I think this is most
This
magical.
is the most magical.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I just wanted to make sure what I was going to say was about to line up with that. Because I was going to say I think that's part of the magic that is here, is that it does exist as its own kingdom. I know that sounds so cheesy, but like it's like what you said. It's not that we have more parks and we have the hotels. Yes, we do and stuff. It's like a combination of all those things where we also have that land. So like, where else in the United States can you go? Where you like, it's not just about going to the one place. It's that you've entered another land. I mean, maybe Amish country. I don't know. But once you're like in, everything starts to look different. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, we vacationed in Amish country once. So it was a weird, like, but like, like the roads change. Like you have the very specific Disney signs. You go through those archways that are by like the World Drive and all those things, and you're here, and it's like it's not just I'm in the hotel or I'm in the park. I'm like here, and then it's like, and it's a combination of what you said, Denny, and then it's like that okay, now I've got to start. Now I'm feeling those threads of like history and emotion and whatever, and now I'm gonna start like sitting and weaving my own little. I feel like I'm in a very weird Amish place right now with all of this, but like it's got a weird. I also think it's like you say it and like I have this weird love-hate thing right now where it's like sometimes I hate I hate how desperate. I hate that people get so desperate to let go of the rest of the world that we do feel like we have to have this like not just immersive, but also this thing where it's just like we need to put on these blinders and everything like that. But I also am so happy that there is a place that people feel like they can do that, where they can say, okay, I'm going to be okay here. Like today is the day where I am standing in this place and I'm, on the People Mover, or I'm on, Peter Pan or whatever. Like that's where you're like, okay, I can breathe for a second and I feel okay. And the world feels stable and I feel, whole. And so I don't know. I think that's part of that's a big thing that's just rolling around within my spirit related to Disney, I guess,
I feel like there's a real careful balance that has to be taken into account when you're there. Like that was when I learned how to go into my phone and make it so that only family members and close people that I worked, like my assistant, people that I worked with, that she would never call me when I was on vacation. But if she called, that phone better ring. So like there was that kind of stuff. And then like for me, I wasn't the person who listened to any podcasts before I started working for the Diz. I didn't even listen to the Diz Unplugged. I didn't listen to any podcasts because I didn't want to know about stuff until I got there. Like I would do the planning, but I wanted all the things that we stock constantly on social media. I didn't want to know any of that. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to see videos about it. I didn't want to know any of it. So, but then that started changing just a little bit when because with Disney World, there's so much. And I remember standing in Toontown at Disneyland one time, and the green mountains that are up above, I remember just standing there looking at those thinking, wow, they built those just perfectly measured so that you cannot see 1 ounce of Anaheim, not one, because we went on a drive and we could see, we drove right behind those. And so I knew what was behind those. And so I stood there and was just, and at Walt Disney World, you don't have that. There aren't any like things that you can see from the real world when you're in a Disney park. And you have to be high up in a Disney resort to be able to recognize things from far away. Yeah. Like
I do have a question for you guys, because Jackie, you just made me think, so you said you didn't listen to anything and you planned stuff. Denny, you said you listened to like the podcast and everything like that before you would come. So do you think that because again, we all grew up through a different age of being like, when we were kids, like Craig said, it was easy to be like, oh, we didn't see a newspaper, a TV program. Nothing was being communicated like that to us. So we really did get to shut off and enjoy that. And you know what? I know we all miss it too. That's the thing. I really do miss that aspect of like being able to have that as one of our abilities. But so is it something, do you think that you love the surprise? Because I kind of miss that like kid feeling where you walk in and be like, what's this new thing? Like, you know, like what?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I mean, if I'm going even now, okay, if I'm going to a restaurant with my family, with my hubby, not for work, I don't want to see the menu ahead of time. I want to be surprised. I want to get to that restaurant and go, okay, what are we talking? Like if it's a new restaurant, because there are restaurants I've not eaten at on Walt Disney World property, I want to roll into the experience and be surprised and get to take it the way, roll with the punches and see what we've got. Of course, if I'm going there for a review, I've got research to do ahead of time, and I look into everything and I try to think through things. But no, if I'm going just with my husband to go have fun for an evening and experience a new meal and check another restaurant off of our, must eat list, I want that surprise. So personally, yes.
Let me ask you guys then, everybody in here, because we do have something going on right now where we're not there. I know it's not Disney World, but so for Disneyland, obviously Avengers Campus opens, as of recording this, in a day. So, what if you didn't work for the Diz? okay, and let's say that was opening at Walt Disney World, are you the people who would be like, I'm just going in blind, I want to be surprised, or would you watch the ride through of the videos and would you like want to see the layout of the land ahead of time? I'm just curious. Not at all. Okay.
I'd want to see the layout of the land. So when we were planning our Disneyland trip in 2018, I wanted to see the map. So like I would pull up the Disneyland app from time to time and study it so that I could at least feel like I knew where I was going when I was there, but I didn't watch any ride throughs. I don't, I want to be surprised. So, everything that you guys would post, POV videos, I wouldn't watch any of those. And I didn't, so that I could experience it for the first time.
Yep. Same here. That's exactly what Denny said, everything that she said.
What about you, Craig? Are you... Sorry, Jack. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No,
I think I have a little delay.
Yeah, it's tough. I want to say that I would stay away from everything, but I don't know, because since YouTube really like came into this realm of existence that it's in now, and I've been in Florida for a good amount of it, so there hasn't truly been a lot of stuff that's hasn't been like, it hasn't been completely it hasn't been like there's been years covered between this time and the last time I've been there. And even growing up, it was we traveled every other year, a couple gaps in there that it was longer and some shorter, but I was always coming often enough that I didn't have the chance to ruin anything for myself, really. And I struggle with it now because I still haven't been to Tokyo, Shanghai, and Hong Kong, the Asian parks, and I do not want to watch any videos from there. Mm-hmm. When Pete got back from a trip from Tokyo that he took and threw video at me and said, "Oh, go ahead and edit it together," I was like, no, I can, if there's ones that you just need an in and out point, I can do that, but I don't want to see it, because I want to experience that with my own eyes for the very first time. And I always, that's how I felt about it. But then I think it was with Rise of the Resistance. That's when I started seeing a lot of people. I didn't even get to experience Rise of the Resistance without having it spoiled, because the morning that we were going to ride it for the first time, they sent us the media footage like 3 hours before and gave us an embargo time. And so I had to watch all these portions of Rise of the Resistance for the first time on my computer, so then I could upload it and have it ready and staged, so then we could go see it. So like it's very hard to get it now in the job that we have. But finishing my thought on that statement, it was when I started reading comments from people, a lot of people were saying, yes, we really want to be able to see, because when you have a ride like Rise of the Resistance, where you only have potentially that one time on a trip to see it and experience it, they want to know everything to look for in it. They don't want to be caught so off guard that they miss out, and then they have to wait until the very next vacation to be able to see it again and experience it in a different level. And I'm starting to understand that a lot more. So I think my standpoint on it is don't be spoiled at all, but I think I'm loosening my grip on that a little bit more. I think I'm getting to the point now where it's maybe, I research other trips to know what I want to see and what to expect, and give me the best opportunity to have the best experience in person. Why shouldn't the same be said of a theme park ride?
Well, I think I'm in the middle. I think I straddle where I'm like, I'm like you, Denny. Like, I think I like the map, because I want to kind of have an idea of like the list of being like, okay, I know I want to go here, here, and here.
Right.
And I know, but I also want to do the research, because I want to know what what is the thing that I'm supposed to try? Like, what do I need to try? Like, I did watch a video walkthrough of like the Avengers campus merchandise because I was like, what do I need to buy out here? Like, there are web shooters. There are not the ones for the attraction, but there are like replica web shooters now that I'm like, I got to get these. Like, I've wanted them since I was a little kid, and I can't believe now I'm going to have that chance to actually get ones that fit on my adult wrist. So, but like, and I think that's part of the draw to like Disney World or even just a Disney park in general for me too. I was thinking about it while you were talking, Craig, is that like I think I'm in that in between where like it's not like the world goes away like I said, but like you guys have said, like you try to do that. I think it's that I want to create this like imaginary, like I want to play pretend. I've always loved to pretend, and it's crazy that now we have this place where it is encouraged for you to like you know you're not only are you living through these stories from the movies, these original stories or whatever, but now you can kind of like make your own story. And so it's like, you know, like it is fun to have the lightsaber, where to be able to wear a lightsaber walking around a park. Like I never in my life would have guessed this could be just a normal thing. I could just wear a lightsaber around casually, you know, like I always had this Power Rangers like communicator watch, and I am very anxious, surprise, you know, but I always thought whenever I wear it, everybody's staring at it and being like, what's that stupid thing on your wrist? Like, and I, you know, and now I feel like Disney World is this other thing where it's like, oh, you can wear all that stuff and just be like, you can live out loud and proud and be whoever you want here and be whatever you want. And I think there's a real big draw to that aspect of it, or at least it keeps that illusion alive, whether it's true or not. It gives you that confidence to kind of step up into that, right?
I'm like all excited. Like I just hearing you say those things, because the thing is just because we're grown up and we look like grown-ups, and we are indeed grown-ups, as I sit here and try to convince myself of this, because
you are a grown-up.
Particularly want an adult, especially when it comes to Disney. But like Disney fans want to throw on a lightsaber. Yeah. When I saw Denny in her Captain America dress,
I think about that.
I almost lost my mind, because how fun is it to be a grown-up and to be able to dress up like your favorite character with props? Yeah, it's a purse with my grown-up keys in it, but whatever, I don't care. It looks good from the outside. I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, I have my daughter's, she had a makeover at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique inside Cinderella Castle at the Magic Kingdom. Okay. I have her magic wand and the crown, the little ring crown. It's hanging on my collage picture wall. That's like, cute. She was 6. She's almost 20, but I don't care. Because and one day when she has her own kids, those feelings are going to be there. And I think that it's really cool that grown-ups have an outlet to just turn 5 as soon as they walk into a Disney park. It's fun.
I wish that you could do a thing where I wish that I hope, I guess, maybe that we can have that continue on and outward in life, like through it's like being who you want to be, or you know, it's like we just said, I feel like this is coming back around to the beginning of the conversation where we're saying like we let go of the outside world. It's kind of like I want it to invert and go into the outside world. Like I don't want it to be a bubble anymore. I want it to be a river that flows out into the rest of the world. Like I want to see, maybe I don't know, it's like I want it to be, I think we are on that trend where people are not afraid, not as it's definitely we're in the prime time to be like a quote unquote like nerd and stuff, you know. Yes. and that culture is very much like accepted as, you know, whenever anything becomes a major revenue source, that's when it becomes accepted. So, you know, but
it's fun.
It's also one of those where I'm like, well, I'm happy that I can still be doing that. I'm 36 years old. I didn't think when I was 10 years old I'd still have like all this I told myself I would, but I you know, in reality, it's like I thought at some age they were going to be like, you can't buy those shirts anymore. You can't wear those things anymore.
But that's what fandom is, right? I mean, we've got things like our universe and her universe out there, and Loungefly. I mean, my son gave me it's sitting on the shelf back there. It's the Avengers. It's the Iron Man gauntlet. Loungefly, and wore it in Disney Springs a couple of months ago and got so many compliments. Like, we're all fans of something. And so I think it does bleed out. So some of the draw of getting to be a kid again from down, when you come to Walt Disney World, absolutely does bleed into everyday life if you want to. I mean, that Captain America dress was my Easter. I wore it as my Easter dress to church one year, and I've worn my Orange Bird dresses as Easter dress to church. Like, I don't even care. This is I'm gonna put on my pretty dress and my crinoline and rock it out, because that's
fun. It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's fun.
There's so I shared something on Instagram today that I was just so tickled and excited about, because it talks about how kids nowadays, they have cell phones that they're constantly have their nose in their phone. When we were that age, we had a white thing of Elmer's glue that we squeezed out onto our hands, sat there, blew on it forever until we could sit there and peel it off. That was fun.
Yes.
So, I mean, fun is what we make of it, right? But when you're a Disney fan, there are all sorts of things that are suddenly available to you to plus up that fun. Like how Rhino's always wanted a real web slinger, and now you can actually buy one. Like, oh my gosh.
That's the coolest thing.
Oh, it's the coolest. It's just the greatest. And who would have ever known that you could have a dress with the Avengers? Mm-hmm. Who ever knew that? And a shield and everything. Mm-hmm. Like, oh.
So I feel like we as a group, even though I didn't know if we'd get to an answer, I think we said we've kind of gotten to the conclusion that the biggest draw is just the ability to express your fandom in an environment. Like, I know that doesn't negate anything like the Disney bubble or the escapism of the vacation, but I just watched 3 grown adults get super, super excited over the fact that Disney's a place where you can truly express yourself. So I think that's where at least our group is heading towards. And that's not... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just, before you move away from it, I just want to say that I think that's extra important why they did just update the Disney look and all of those in the key of inclusion, because that is what people have leaned into this kind of place and for looking for that sort of like acceptance and feeling of belonging. And now they're finally re-examining themselves to see, like, how have we actually been excluding people, for all this time. These people come and it's about accepting, like, this is an experience. This is an emotional experience. This is a deep down, sort of a thing that lives with you. So how can we make this really that thing that people need it to be, which is accepting and embracing people of all walks of life and backgrounds and things like that. And so I think it's like, that's why I think, we just said it. You just said it, Craig, about like reveling in the fandom, about being proud of who you are. And I think Disney adding that key of inclusion with the updated code and everything, like, takes that to the next step for the cast members, for the people that are here. And I think that's going to kind of have a rippling effect for people that might not understand that. Hopefully they got something out of that conversation to understand that's what the key of inclusion is kind of all about.
Yeah. Well, that was going to lead me. Well, it still leads me into it, is if you don't care about expressing yourself on vacation, you don't care about the fandom aspect of it. Maybe it is, just purely nostalgia driven and leaving it there, and then a sense of the bubble with it all, I guess. What's the next biggest draw after that? Because for me, the thing that was another thing that sparked this conversation was
the humidity.
Yeah, that's what I love to come here to sweat.
Can't get enough.
Yeah. I was reading an article on a website that I follow called The Takeout that's all about food. And a person wrote a story about food at Walt Disney World and was, actually praising a lot of the food choices that they had, especially at Epcot's Flower and Garden Festival. And then I started reading the comments on the article, full of people who aren't Disney fans, who were starting to throw in sentiments about like, oh yeah, the quality, you only accept it because it's at Disney World. The price, you only accept it because it's at Disney World. Conversations we have, but I don't, because we are so ingrained in the Disney fandom, I don't think I've seen or heard it from that perspective in a long time. So it was pretty eye-opening to read it from that perspective. So what is should the food and dining, should that be such a big draw? Should it be more about the attractions, experiences with characters and stuff? What's the other big draw?
Come on now. Oronto Roaster, you're telling me that is one of the best pieces of food I have ever had, like, period. Like, I had one again the other day for the first, like, a regular one for the first time in forever, and I will tell anybody, yes, you can try and make it at your house, but it's never going to be the same as it is here. But then also I think, like, okay, you know, that is a little on the pricier side in terms of, like, what you're getting. I do think it's worth what you're paying for, but then at Docking Bay 7, I think about that Felucian garden spread that I love so much. And I would pay that at a restaurant down the street from my house or anywhere downtown. So, like, yes, that is true for a lot of places, but it's not true for everywhere. I do think that you get some real unique. I think there's a draw because, like, I come from a very, very small town, like, you know, and there's like 2 restaurants in the town, and they're both like, one's like generic barbecue and one's like a pizza place. Like, so it's like there aren't a lot of options for people who live. I think we keep thinking about it in terms of maybe like, or a lot of people, not us particularly, but people think about it in contextualization of like, oh, like they either live in a city or they live in a thing. And I'm like, well, when you live in the middle of nowhere and you're coming here, this is such a mind-blowing palate thing. Like, no, the food's not always good here. Yes, I do believe the food is better in Disneyland, but I do think Disney World has a lot to offer in terms of that, like, dining experience and whatever. And yeah, some of it's crazy expensive, but not all of it is. It would be unfair to say that it all is across the board way too much.
Yeah, I think so too. See, and when we were there the last time, on the flip side of things with the food, when we were down a couple months ago, we noticed that you could order on DoorDash, and we were like, wonder what, instead of going to the table service restaurant where we were staying at Bay Lake Tower. And so, you know, we love the Wave, and we were thinking about going there, but it's expensive. So we were like, do we want to get dressed up? What should we do? And anyways, we DoorDashed some stuff and that we usually get at home, because it happened to be that restaurant was down in Orlando too. And we were like, this feels really odd, actually. Like, there's so many great things. Like, we could have, you know, taken a boat over to the Magic Kingdom and gone to the plaza. And yeah, it would have been more expensive, but that's okay, because they don't have a huge menu, but what they have is awesome, and we love it, and it's simple, and it's perfect in our eyes. And so it felt really weird eating food that we would order at home in our Disney resort. It was handy, yes. It was cheap, yes, but
yeah. I would never do that. My rule on vacation, there is an asterisk with it, but my rule on vacation is I will throw a temper tantrum if you ask me to eat at a chain restaurant that's not a local chain to where you're at. It's fine if it's a chain that only exists in, you know, California or Washington.
Craig, there's a big one on the side of the highway called Golden Corral.
Yeah, right. But
amazing.
I've thrown fits where I'm like, can't believe freaking dragging me here when I could have just had that in Florida. Why did I come all the way here to then have that in Florida?
Hard Rock.
The only exception I will make is if I'm in a foreign country I have to have McDonald's just to see what's different on there. That's one of my exceptions. And then, just when I'm with someone and it's random. And in that case, I'm talking about Pete wanting to take us out for drinks in Venice and no place being open past 9 o'clock that wasn't like ultra swanky except for a Hard Rock cafe. And then I'll give in on that. But yeah, I couldn't imagine I could imagine coming down to Walt Disney World and saying, "Oh, I'll do a mobile order for Four Rivers," and then go pick that up and bring it back there. Like, I would do that, but I couldn't imagine being like, "Oh, I can get Longhorn delivered right to the hotel." Might as well go with that. Who needs California grill steak when I can have a solid 8-ounce sirloin steak?
Well, yeah, probably needless to say, but we will not be doing that again. Let me just say that.
It was a teachable moment.
Jackie, was the restaurant Quiznos?
It was not. It was actually, what's funny? It was Domino's. Their bread bowls. We can't get that. We can't, at our house that we had before we bought this one, we could order that, but we can't order it now. They don't, we're only about a mile and a half from the house that we were. What?
Where's there Domino's near Disney?
I don't know.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
Where's this guy named Joe Domino who just brought you food?
I know. It wasn't even anything special. That was the thing. We're literally like a mile and a half away from the house that we rented before we bought the one that we're in, but we're outside their boundary. And we haven't had one of those in years. And so it just sounded like a really fun, really, we can't, get this on a regular basis, and it's really fattening, and that's how it should be when it's at Disney. And so we were just like, okay. And then we were sitting there like, yeah, that was probably not the best decision we've ever made in our lives. Won't be doing that again.
I love it. I love it. And I was just joking about Quiznos. That was a callback to a recent episode.
Quiznos.
We know you do. You do.
Yeah. I know. I remember talking about that. See, Quiznos was there. We may have gotten that.
That's wonderful. Do we have anything else to throw in? I feel like we still have a lot to cover that we could probably do this again once people share what their big draws are as well too. But does anyone else have anything else they want to throw in before we get back on the rails on this one?
It's something that has been said for years, right? There is something here for everyone. So if you are a foodie and food is your love language, and there is food here for you to try. I mean, just spend some time at Disney Springs and you have the world is your oyster. You have so many different options there, including some that are exclusive to this is a local favorite. There's a Four Rivers truck, Wine Bar George, for good heavens, please go there. There's so many neat little unique spots here. But if you're looking for attractions that you can enjoy with friends and family, you've got that as well. If you're looking to express your fandom, you've got literally it's a smorgasbord. And not everything is going to speak to everyone, right? I mean, that's real life. But there's going to be something that surely just about everyone is going to be able to connect with. And maybe it's that is kind of the hook for them, that, is a touchstone that they'll kind of lean back on or remember fondly, or want to begin planning another trip when they hear that new something or other has occurred, or life is just a bit much in the real world and they just want to come down here and enjoy eating or enjoy whatever. But there's something for everyone.
So that was another thing that you just reminded me about. So when we went to Disneyland, I think it was our second family vacation down there, there were not very many restaurants. There was one table service restaurant inside California Adventure. It was the Wine Country Trattoria, I think was the name of it. And there was the Blue Bayou over at Disneyland, and then Tortilla Joe's at Downtown Disney. That was really it. And I mean, there may have been a couple others. God, it's been so many years. It's been like 1,000 years. But I remember that we could not find a table service restaurant. And way back then, my parents were vegan and they were kind of fancy about it. And vegan wasn't really a thing that many years ago. And we could not get a walk up to any restaurants that were around. We couldn't just walk in. They didn't have any availability. And so I remember my parents kind of having a cow, especially my mom. Where are we going to eat? I can't eat a cheeseburger and fries at one of these walk-up places. Like, it was a whole ordeal. And I won't go into the whole story, obviously, but oh my gosh, it was a whole ordeal. And the Wine Country Trattoria finally ended up getting us in at a table outside. And so that ended up being okay. But at Walt Disney World, there are over 100 restaurants. I mean, you don't want for anything. There are so many. Like,
yep.
If you can't get one, you can get another.
Only true to an extent, though. Plan, make your ADRs.
Yes,
because even with like the walk-ups right now, I have been trying to get like walk-up for Hollywood Brown Derby, and I feel like if I get to the park an hour after it opens, it will say the walk-up is already at capacity for the entire day. So ADRs as much as possible, no matter what coast you're on. Take advantage of them. That's why they're there. And that means you need to plan ahead for your vacations.
Right. Hey, who can help you plan that vacation?
Well, I mean, you start by you doing the independent research by going to websites like The Diz, watching videos like this one. And if you say, hey, I need that extra help beyond Dreams Unlimited Travel. And hey, guess what? It also helps support us in our shows and everything we do. So get that free no obligation quote today at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Okay. Yep, and we're back on the rails now. I feel like the Dreams plug should have been on the rails, but it's fine. We'll leave that off the rails as well, too. It's all good.
It's on the side of the train. It's cozying on up.
There we go. Thank you, everyone, for the fun conversation. I really, truly did enjoy it. Thank you, everyone out there, for listening and watching. One last time, please make sure that you hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and leave those comments, questions, and topic suggestions in the comment section here on YouTube, if that's the way you're watching this. And if you're listening, please make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening and leave us those 5-star ratings and reviews. At some point in time, I do swear that Off the Rails will go on its own feed once the best and worst of Walt Disney World comes back. And then we're going to really need you to start pumping up those 5-star reviews over there. And yeah, that would make me happy. So just throw 5s around. Throw it instead of singles, throw 5s. And we'll go from there. That was my one inappropriate joke.
Make it rain.
Yeah,
I was gonna do.
Make it rain.
I was gonna say make it rain.
Make it rain. Make it rain like you're riding Spider-Man web slingers and you're doing that. Make it rain. Make it rain.
There you go.
Go and do that. Yeah. So I think I did all of that. So that's it for this episode. Hey, thanks again, everyone. Appreciate you.
Got it.
Appreciate all of you out there too. So take care. See you again soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.